Good evening. Welcome to Economics 330, Global Trade and Political Economy, City University of New York, Medgar College. My name is Felix Obi, and today is Tuesday, May 7th, and this is the 14th week of the class. Next week, we roll into finals, and I suspect the rest of the class have quite a bit to get into this week and next week as well. So we're just going to get right into the formal lecture, into the formal lecture section of today's office hour. So as I mentioned, this is the last module of this course, Global Trade and Political Economy, and we will discuss current and developing issues in global political economy. As you know, the three distinct theories in international political economy include the realist, the liberal, and the critical perspective. They have evolved and influenced each other over time. So they're not as distinct as one will think, but the very definition has continued to evolve, and the way they also influence each theory. And some theoretical approaches such as hegemonic stability theory and regime theory draw upon more than one of these perspectives. So as a quick refresher, regime theory within international relations argues that international institutions or regimes affect the behavior of states or other international actors. Notably, a regime is a set of principles, norms, rules, and decision-making procedures in a given substantive area in international relations. And hegemonic stability theory, or HST, as I hope most of us now know, if not all of us now know, argues that the international system is more likely to remain stable when a single state is a dominant world power or hegemon. Thus, the end of hegemony diminishes the stability of the international system. To help link theory and practice, it may be instructive to focus on three main themes. One, globalization. Two, North-North relations. Three, North-South relations. And when I say North-North, it means relations within countries and institutions in the global North. So for instance, NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is a security arrangement, is a North-North engagement. For instance, Prosper Africa, which is the signature all-encompassing U.S. economic and trade engagement with Africa, is a North-South relations. And so one of the things we want to do is analyze contemporary events in global economic environment and explain them in the context of international political economy. As an example of contemporary events includes the North-South divide on a need for recent OPEC plus one voluntary crude oil supply costs totaling about $2.2 billion, 2.2 billion barrels per day, including an extension of existing Saudi and Russian voluntary cuts. Now, it's important to actually think much broader than oil cuts. It is helpful to think through as the world grapples with the tough choices that needs to be made to combat global climate change. The tension between that and the energy intensity of development. What I mean by that is that to development consumes a lot of energy. So there is energy intensity. For instance, if you've ever flown into an advanced city at night, you would see all the lights that you can see from the air as you approach the airport. But if you were to go to a poorer country that is less developed, and this is a really good anecdote, you would notice that there are less lights to be seen when you're landing at the airport. This is really the energy intensity of development in its shorthand. And think about it this way: the more stuff you make, the more manufacturing plants you're going to need. The more services you create, the more energy you're going to need to get those services to consumers. And that energy has to be generated somewhere. As a quick refresher, after Russia invaded um, uh, 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 Ukraine, and there became tension in energy supplies between the EU, especially EU countries, especially Germany, and Russia with respect to gas supply. Germany quickly ramped up its infrastructure to receive liquefied natural gas from other countries, chief among which is us, the United States of America. On the other hand, there is also a gas supply in Eastern Africa that runs through Tanzania and I think Uganda, among other countries. And there has been challenges accessing capital to develop that resource. Of course, both investments will be environmentally damaging, but both investments would also create and enhance economic opportunities and create the energy source for development for both regions. Except the investment in the North African gas pipeline has proven to be more controversial, and they've had more challenges raising capital for that project. And the supply chain and the supply lines for Germany's LNG has been less controversial, and in fact has been progressing at a rapid clip, and albeit relatively very quietly. And the Southern Global South would point this as a suggestion of some of the hypocrisy in how the world wants to address energy demands vis-a-vis the global relationship between the North and the South. And the Global South will quickly also point out that they are less responsible for global emissions, that is, for the emissions that cause global warming, than the North, or that the global North are chiefly to blame for most of the emission that is believed that science has recognized is creating or at least exacerbating global warming at the very minimum, if not created. So the second point is to critically explain current trends in North-South economic relations. Again, it goes back to the major trend in the COP meeting, which again is looking at how capital is assigned. For instance, Convention on Climate Change, which is the UNFCCC, central to this tension, as the world continues to experience alarming climate-related crises and weather extremes, it appears increasingly likely that the world would breach 1.5 degrees Celsius climate threshold by 2027. The North-South relations underscore the inability of countries to reach an equitable mechanism to increase climate commitments or cut emissions. And that's really the key word there, or the key phrase, is equitable mechanism. How do you account for, how does the global international order account for the lack of patents, all things related in the global South relative to the global North, on the technologies that would be necessary to reduce climate emissions? And what are the economic concessions or the technological concessions with respect to paying for the global South, paying to access these technologies, and recognizing that the global South, by necessity, has to increase their energy production, and who would fund a cleaner, if not clean, energy production by the global South, recognizing two obvious truths. The one truth is that the world cannot afford for the global South to develop in a manner that is environmentally damaging as the global North has. On the other hand, the global South needs to and must develop to meet the aspirations of our growing and thinning population. It is therefore the ability of countries to reach an equitable mechanism to achieve these seemingly competing goals. So this is really, in a nutshell, what some of the competing tensions are. So next week is our last week and module, and our focus will be on preparing for the final exam. So let me quickly point out a few things and just an overview of the final exam. There are two parts to your final exam. There is one, a multiple choice part, and two, a short answer part. The multiple choice part of your final exam will be 25 multiple choice questions on all of the course material. You will have 2 attempts, and each attempt is timed at 1 hour. The score on the multiple choice part will be an average of the first and second attempt if both are used. The short answer part of the exam is based exclusively on a document that has been posted in the exam folder and Chapter 10 International Economic Development. Note this section on Structural Adjustment Program. Please download and read the document. You'll find the document there, Structural Adjustment Program. Download and read that document. There are 2 questions in the short answer part of the exam. In responding to these questions, you must not put or copy any information from the internet. If you do, you will receive 0 for the entire short answer. You cannot plagiarize, to put it in simple English. It must be your original thoughts, your original ideas. The short answer part, again, is timed at 1 hour, and you would have 2 attempts. So this is an overview of the final exams, and I thank you, the entire class, for the privilege of being your Economics 330 Global Trade and Political Economy instructor this semester. I will be very honest to say that teaching this class has been a rewarding experience for me, and I hope for you as well. And I wish you good luck with your finals, much success in especially your academic pursuits, and I hope you have a blissful summer.
Thank you, Professor. We hope you do too.
Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate that. And, I'm going to turn off the recording.